Super awkward Funcast. You're listening to the Super Awkward Funcast. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Super Awkward Funcast with moi, Latham. Here is my badge. I don't know why I'm speaking this way. Okay, so selfish, shameless promo time. I have this channel that you're on right now. You could, literally go peruse some of the videos. I have a large archive that I'm creating of these episodes from the beginning that I started about, let's see how long that was ago. That was about, a long time ago. Before Canada. 6 months ago. We're 6 months in and we're finally at the 28th episode, which is, yes, out of order because I didn't do things right with the privating or unprivating and everything. Anyway, nothing to do with anything. So, that's that. I'm moving away from the whole playing a song at the beginning of the episode because copyright shit, and I don't want Belarus to miss out on all of the good stuff on the show. Sorry, Belarus. Oh shit. I just remembered I have to do something. I'll do it in a minute. So there's a lot to talk about, and I only have an hour. We're in a heat wave. And it just got under 79 degrees, so that's fun. And it's the end of August, so it feels fitting. But we're also going to have another heat wave next week, which is going to suck balls. But anyway, all that to say that I'm hoping this is only an hour long episode. If it's a little bit over, I don't know why. But anyway, if it is, deal with it. I don't know. But happy Labor Day to everybody because it's coming out on Labor Day. I hope you had a good week. Have a good weekend because it's still going. Hell yeah. A lot of people are not working. I am one of them because I have a work from home job where I have to call people at home. And I just think it's a bad idea to make us work that day. So probably number wise. Anyway, they think everybody's going out in 90 degrees, but I guess some people are because they're used to this shit, but I've lived here since 2009 and I'm still not used to the heat that happens in the summer, which is my least favorite time. So there's that. Okay, let me start. Oh my gosh. There's so much to talk about, but I guess we'll start with shit. There was a shooting. I'm not going to get into it, but you know what happened. So it's shooting season again. It's false flag season, allegedly. Don't sue me. A false flag is a false flag. People still die, sadly, but why, And then sometimes they don't, I guess. But we're not supposed to talk about that. Certainly not on here. There's like copycat killers and stuff. There's killers who have a YouTube channel that gets exposed after the event and then taken off of YouTube the videos that were very alarming that were detailing the event that would take place later. But I feel like, honestly, this news cycle is crazy because people have just stopped kind of talking about it, at least on Twitter. Where I see things. So there's that. The other thing is there was a shooting, there was some big news globally that I'll get to later. Just to recap, we talked about Ghislaine Maxwell. She is on this thumbnail. So yeah, this is gonna be a crazy episode. There's some stuff happening. Like, Ghislaine Maxwell is in the news again, and we'll talk about that since she's the subject of this episode. She's the showgirl. And we'll also talk about the other one, Taylor Swift. And she's got a new album coming out soon. And everybody's upset. Everybody's happy about it. And then there's some other news that happened that kind of overshadowed that a little bit, which is interesting. Which is totally going to be relevant. This episode is not going to age badly at all. On that note, okay, so no songs. You heard the theme. Let's go to the point. Okay, so I'm going to start with Ghislaine. So here's what happened with Ghislaine. Ghislaine Maxwell, as you know her, as the associate of Jeffrey Epstein, who was put in prison for 20 years. We know that she went to Bryan, Texas. We don't know when exactly in the timeline we had an interview with her until this past month, August. So it appears that there was an interview in July on the 24th and 25th. It doesn't appear that way. It is that way. And there were some nuggets in there. Quite a few nuggets. Do I want to do this first? No, we're going to do that in a minute. That one too. Okay, let's start here. I want you to hear some of this bullshit because it's insane. This interview was a total mockery of the justice system, but are we surprised? No, I'm not. This Todd Blanche character just asks softball question after softball question, assuming that she's going to tell the truth. Well, you know what? She don't do that. So, let's just... This is crazy. Just listen to her own words, I guess. And you can also read the transcript. I read along with it. If you want to just keep yourself from this bad audio, because it's pretty bad audio for the situation, but you get the point.
Just talking, coming out a little bit of just bigger picture, at the time that you were in his life, was he did he seem to you to be a sexual deviant or I don't know what the right way to describe it, but when you say to me, he was getting massages every single day, right? So young women were everywhere, multiple massages on some days, flew with the women to the island, to New York, Paris. There's always women, they're always rubbing him, giving him massages. I think it would be an understatement to say that that's not normal.
I agree.
We've all kind of been part of the Epstein story over the past several years, but you were there at the time, okay? What was it like at the time? I mean, was he a creepy guy when it came to that sort of thing? Was he protective of how he looked publicly, image-wise? Like, at the time, what was it like?
I think if he had been creepy, like as you would define and you would expect someone who was living that lifestyle to be creepy, I don't think the women would have been there. I don't think that they thought of him as creepy. And if they did, I never saw them behave like he was being weird. Was it a lot? Yes, it was, for sure. I found it overwhelming, and I couldn't understand why it was interesting, because to me, it's not interesting. But he, as he defined it, he found it invigorating. He liked being with younger people. And now, not just younger people, I'm just saying because they gave him ideas and they were up to date on music and
yeah, but that's different. Like a masseuse coming every day.
I'm just telling you what he was saying to me. I mean, to me, I just found it a drag and difficult and annoying.
Did you?
But understand, I wasn't the only person present. So this time in the 2000s, you're talking about other people, like Sarah Cullen, who was around, who interfaced with him. I didn't have to. She was really interfacing with Epstein at this point in time.
She throws her under the bus. Only like 4.5 hours. I mean, it's crazy it took that long to get to this meaty shit, but we spent a long time, oh my gosh, in the beginning talking about, what did we talk about? Like the whole history of her relationship with Epstein, and like all these name drops, like not RF Kennedy, the other one, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Princess Di, who she was going to put on a setup with Epstein or whatever, or was going to be set up with Epstein. What are this other names? Okay, Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo. Well, Andrew Cuomo first in his wedding, and then Chris Cuomo's the guy, the newscaster, right? Yeah. Oh, and I didn't know Bill Gates very well. Okay, sure. John Kerry, Cheryl Mills from the Hillary Clinton episode. Oh, she talked about helping Clinton build CGI, the Clinton Global Initiative. George Soros comes up, Larry Summers. She was really adamant that Larry Summers didn't know shit about what was going on. There's a lot of that throughout the video. It's like, or not video, the interview. Her saying like, nobody knew what was happening. And oh, she did mention Robert Kennedy, not the junior, but the first one. Or maybe it was the junior, because he is connected too. You guys know that, right? Oh my gosh. And she also says Epstein was in the CFR, or Council on Foreign Relations. And at one point I wrote that Marcus, her lawyer, David Marcus, said stuff about Epstein in the present tense, as if he has something, which I noted. I was like, that's interesting. We're going to get to a crazy, crazy part that I wanted to focus on, and then we'll move on from this bitch.
In his life, she was running she was his assistant. And
Well,
so I didn't have to.
That's a fair point, but move beyond his assistants or the folks that work with him. What about his friends and the people that were associated with him? That it couldn't be. It doesn't. I don't understand how this is an after fact of Mr. Epstein. So once he's arrested in Florida, it becomes part of his story, and then later on, he's charged in Southern District, and then here we are now in 2025. But he was a very successful, hardworking guy, and he had a lot of clients, and he flew with them on vacations and went to the island. It doesn't. I don't understand how he was able to hide this, what seems to me to be some sort of sexual fixation or issue from others.
I don't think he did hide it. I think that's the answer, and I think that the people around him, myself included, obviously, normalized his behavior on a number of fronts. One, I think because it was because so many people saw it, of such a high caliber down, that never seemed to think it would, well, if they thought it was strange, probably they never said it at the time, so it became sort of like it was his thing, right? He was always around with women. Now I understand that it's very unattractive, especially in light of everything that we know today, but at the time, the only way I can sort of try and describe it is through Sex and the City, the movie, the show on telly.
What? Excuse me? Excuse me. I need a moment. I heard that and I just about died. I did not expect Sex and the City to come up in this conversation. Silly me.
Where that lifestyle is described on the TV show constantly. There are always these women around and men who like it, and a lot of the men that
Hey, y'all remember all those Sex and the City episodes with dudes hanging around getting massages from women, and some of them young enough to look underage? Y'all remember those episodes? It was totally normal. I mean, I would have brought up Entourage or something instead of Sex and the City, but hey, what do I know?
I know like women, and so maybe not as overtly as Epstein, but he was overt, not covert, except obviously in the context of the
of working for the three-letter agency. We know.
Criminal behavior. So what we're discussing now, there's a difference between the criminal behavior and the non-criminal behavior. You don't like the lifestyle. I concur. I agree, especially now, and I own my
Especially now that I've been in prison.
side of that fence, that I was there and that I saw his behavior with women and didn't challenge him or do something. But I don't think back in the 90s or the 2000s we've had a cultural shift. And the cultural shift.
It was the 90s. It was the 2000s. Diddy's over there with his harem and, abusing Cassie. Like, it's totally normal.
Shift, I think, is a very important part of the analysis here. Not because I'm trying to justify this, because I'm not, and I'm not.
Oh, of course not. No, not at all. It doesn't come off that way in the least.
Trying to, and I absolutely am not here to do the Poor Me program, so please don't.
Oh yeah, you're not trying to win on appeal or anything. This isn't totally to save your own ass and to ignore all of the abuses that you committed and say that, oh no, I actually didn't do any of those things, and you know what, they lied on me. Yeah, that doesn't happen at all throughout this 4.5-hour discussion in 2 days. Hint, it does.
Don't misunderstand this. However, in the 2000s, when this behavior was going down, in the initial blush of the Palm Beach investigation, the women who brought the women who were underage, 17, 16, I believe, if my memory serves, were actually targeted.
By the way, she says several times during this that she has memory issues, cognition problems from being in the shoe in prison. By the way, she was already in like a very, not low minimum security, but like a kind of a camp of sorts with a bunch of other women. And now she's in a lower, like, minimum security situation, like the most minimum. And we'll get to that after this. But the fact that she's always like, I can't remember anything. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, actually, here's a name. Murray. What's this guy's name? I randomly get this guy. Murray. Why do I want to say Edelman? Murray Gelman. Sorry. Murray Gelman, Marvin Minsky, all these names, oh, I just wrote them down because it came to me. It popped into my head. She says that throughout this entire discussion. Okay? So she has memory problems, but sometimes she doesn't. It's so funny that.
Of the investigation and could have been charged with prostitution and trafficking, if trafficking was even a law. So you're taking...
I'm sorry, trafficking has always been a law. What does that even mean? Like, oh, I didn't even know it was illegal to... Why am I giving her that accent? I didn't even know it was illegal to traffic people. That's crazy. They're all prostitutes. It's not our fault. Blah, blah, blah.
You're taking behavior, and I did introduce him to women. I did, but not underage women. I understand that there are allegations. I have read them about myself going to schools. I can categorically tell you that I have never in my life gone to a school to pick up a child.
By the way, the only person who benefited from this fucking interview was her, because she got moved to a nice little camp in Bryan, Texas. She got a deal. They call it a proffer in here, but she got a deal, a little sweetheart deal of her own, finally, so that she wouldn't be so miserable.
Well, not for this purpose. I mean, like my stepchildren, but okay, sorry. Just...
No, I understand.
Okay, thank you. I just want to be clear that I'm not trying to be cute or anything.
You're not. Don't worry.
But I did look for masseuses. I did. I went to spas, and if I met somebody who said she was a masseuse, I did not check their credentials. And of course, if she was attractive, I did introduce her, yes. If I met friends who were interested, he was constantly asking me to meet new and interesting people. I did do that. At the time, I viewed it as, well, first of all, part of my job, I think, or part of my responsibility, if you were, to introduce, because it wasn't just women. If I met somebody who was interesting, like Mary Gelman, or who I thought he would like, I did that. So it's not exclusively, but he did. And I did do that.
So, but then, so I want to layer on top of what you just said, what we talked about yesterday more, but a little bit today already, which is everybody that was around him besides you, like his friends. So
Right.
I accept the lifestyle. I've seen the photos, the fact that we're all going to go to the island for a couple days, or fly on a private plane, and there's beautiful women everywhere. Is there any, I mean, do you, as you sit here today, think that the people around him weren't also of the same place, where they were also getting massages, where there was sex going on during them, or things like that? And I'm obviously asking this because that's what
Yes.
what everybody has said. And when you just described what it was like, the very next step from that is everybody's going to Vegas for the weekend, and so it seems kind of far-fetched to say that yes, that was his lifestyle, but then when he's taking groups of folks to the island, or groups of folks to New Mexico or whatever, that they're all going to church in the morning while he's getting a massage.
I hear you. I was there though, and
Yeah.
and you're talking about very substantial people, and you are extrapolating because the narrative that started in, by the way, not until 2009 is when it really started. So that narrative that was created and then built upon, and it just mushroomed into what basically this is like a Salem witch trial. People go and lost their minds at this thing. I understand that, but the issue is, how do you satisfy a mob who can't understand the lifestyle because it's like P. Diddy in Redux on TV with Clintons and Trump? I mean, it's bananas. And
It's fucking weird. You act like this is all normal. He said it before, this was normalized or whatever. Like, this is not normal. Substantive people? Calling Clinton substantive is fucking hilarious. By the way, she's good friends with him. They got on very well, as she says. She's bananas. She pisses me off because there's hardly any information in here that is legitimate. And it's to the point where it's like, you can let somebody talk for all this time and stuff, but like, you're not getting anything out of it. The only thing that they put out there in the press, and I'm not even going to focus on it because I don't even give a shit, is that she said nothing happened with Trump. Duh. We already knew that the fucking girls involved have not pointed a finger at Trump. We already know that. And technically, Clinton has not been exposed for any criminal behavior either. So let's be fair. But I'm saying, like, that was not a revelation. The revelation was, like, she went on a couple of dates with John F. Kennedy Jr. That was kind of weird. She hung out with Harvey Weinstein and Epstein, but they didn't know each other, apparently, like, very well. Okay, well, let's continue on a little bit longer, and then we're going to move on to the next thing.
while some of it is real, he did do those things. I'm definitely not disputing that. But this was a man.
But I didn't.
They didn't even believe he had a real business. I happen to believe he did. Did he grip? I don't know, because I wasn't really in his business. But this is a one man.
Sounds like she was all up in his business. To me. That's like her trying to minimize her role, even though she already stated that she was doing work for him. Ugh.
He's not some. They've made him into this.
And introducing women to him. Like, come on.
This. He's not that interesting.
He's not that interesting, guys. Just look away. Don't worry about him. He's just some stupid schmo who got chosen by Les Wexner. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Disgusting.
Never mind all the suicides that keep popping up during the case.
Guy who did terrible things to young kids. You're not going to hear me say what he did to people who are over the age of 18. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go there. That's just not what I'm here to. I mean,
Yeah, we know what you're here to do. Anyway, she got what she wanted. Let's cut to the next part. This was on August 15th. Ghislaine Maxwell's arrival at Texas prison camp sparks tensions and restrictions. Oh, first, this is why she had to go. Oh, that'll come later, actually. Actually, no, this is first. So let's do this one first. Inside Ghislaine Maxwell's new Texas prison, where she will bunk with Elizabeth Holmes and Jen Shaw. Behind the gates of a federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas, 3 high-profile women whose lives once played out in the boardroom on Bravo or at billionaire dinner parties now share the same khaki uniform, early wake-up calls, and tightly regulated daily routines. I'm going to move this so it's easier for me to figure this out. Okay. You can read the rest. While the minimum security facility is known for a relatively relaxed environment, the women must adhere to a strict schedule. Inmates are woken at 6 a.m. and are subject to regular roll calls. Rule violations, including a messy bunk, oversleeping, or skipping count, can result in disciplinary action. Life inside revolves around work, education, and structured recreation. All inmates must hold jobs earning between 12 cents and $1.15 per hour in areas like food service or maintenance. So we got prison labor there. Outside of work, inmates can take classes in business, foreign languages, and fitness, attend religious services, or watch television. Fun. Meals follow a standard Federal Bureau of Prisons menu, which consists of chicken, tacos, hot dogs, and macaroni, and inmates are allotted 1 hour per meal. Family visits are allowed on weekends and holidays, and limited physical contact is permitted. So then there's a little more about this. If y'all want to look up this article, it's going to be in the show notes. Alright, on to this one. Again, I'm going to make this as short an episode as I can, for reasons. While Maxwell's living conditions will be less restrictive in Bryan, it's still a difficult situation where the Epstein conspirator won't get all the benefits of an easy or short stay that other... See, they're trying to make this not that big a deal. She's actually not getting anything out of this. She's actually not going to be happy here. And it might be minimum security, but she's still going to be miserable all the time. So it's not a quid pro quo. It's not her giving information and then getting what she wants. No, she's not happy. You notice that in the article? I do. The inmates include inside Bryan who are largely non-violent, specifically non-violent, white-collar offenders who totally belong with an alleged abuser of young women / girls, were warned recently by prison staff to use discretion talking about Maxwell since she arrived, according to 2 people who represent inmates in the Bryan prison camp. She's not making any friends. Sam Mangel, a prison consultant who works with clients at the prison camp, said to CNN this week, radioactive. No, don't come after me for copyright. The relaxed nature of the camp became more tense when Maxwell arrived, obviously, which is typical of high-profile inmates on the inside, he said. Yeah, high profile, sure. Nobody's going to rock the boat there. They want to serve the remainder of their sentences with whatever modicum of comfort Bryan provides, he added about other inmates. The Daily Telegraph wrote last week that a prisoner at Bryan said she was disgusted by Maxwell's transfer there in a comment provided to the publication through the inmate's husband. Since that comment was published, prison officials pulled that inmate, Julie Howell, out of a puppy training class in the camp. You can't make this shit up. Then transferred her out of the facility, according to her lawyer. Howell is now at a federal detention center in Houston, the lawyer and Bureau of Prisons records say. So she gets transferred for making a stink about not liking this bitch. Nobody's going to say anything about Ghislaine Maxwell now. Are you kidding? Howell's lawyer, Patrick McLean, said to CNN on Thursday. 2 inmates who were released from FPC Bryan in the past year haven't heard anything yet on how Maxwell is faring inside, or even which of the 3 units in the camp she is housed in. One of the recently released inmates, Jill Ford, told CNN she would have been concerned with Maxwell's presence there around visitation time. Many of the women inside the prison have children who visit them frequently, where the families are also able to be seen by other inmates in the visitation rooms. It's not known what level of visitation ability Maxwell has. And obviously she was convicted of sex trafficking minors following a trial in 2021 and sentenced to 20 years in prison with a release date set for 12 years from now, according to federal prison and court records. And then it says that her transfer from a more restrictive prison in Florida to the prison camp in Texas also continues to raise questions this week around the Justice Department's reasons for her move and the treatment she may receive inside her new home. On Thursday, her attorney, David O. Marcus, offered a reason. The transfer happened because she needed a safer placement, according to a post he wrote on Twitter. I'm surprised to hear my progressive friends criticizing more humane prisons and Ghislaine's transfer to a safer facility, especially after she faced serious danger in Tallahassee. The outrage machine wants to turn a safer placement into a scandal. She would have been housed potentially around women convicted of violent crime in the low-security federal correctional institution in Tallahassee, where she was until earlier this month, according to people familiar with the BOP system. While the prison camp in Bryan is an even less secure facility, designated as a minimum security by BOP, it houses nonviolent offenders who largely have committed only white-collar federal crimes. It is highly unusual for a person convicted of sex crime to be transferred to a federal prison camp where women convicted of nonviolent white-collar crime are able to move about relatively freely inside and bunk together in dormitory-style rooms. It's also usually not allowed for an inmate with as many years as Maxwell still had left on his sentence, more than 10, to be allowed in a prison camp. Her attorney, Marcus, declined to provide any additional information to CNN on Thursday. Spokespeople from the Justice Department and the Bureau of Prisons haven't responded to multiple requests for comment this week. Of course they haven't. The unusual nature of her transfer coming after she spoke to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche for 2 days following a proffer agreement has also caught the attention of Capitol Hill. Mr. Whitehouse, Senator Whitehouse, we don't hear a lot from him, but here he is, has requested more information from the Bureau of Prisons about her transfer and internal BOP designations. A spokesperson for Whitehouse said he hasn't received any new information as of Thursday. But just because Maxwell now has some of these lower designations doesn't mean she'll get full access to what the camp at Bryan has to offer. Some of the programs inmates want to participate in may not take her. For instance, the work release program at the Bryan prison camp trains certified nursing assistants, according to several people familiar with the prison camp. The program is run by the Southern Careers Institute, an education company that screens applicants from the prison and won't allow inmates with certain charges to take part in the program if they apply, a person familiar with the program told CNN. Canine Companions, which places puppies in federal prisons for inmates to train as service dogs, explicitly said it would allow Maxwell into the puppy program at the prison camp. Well, there you go. Well, that's at least one thing we can be happy about. Currently, there are 7 puppies, I'm not going to read all their names, paired with a total of 15 inmate handlers at FPC Bryan. The inmates keep the dogs with them from 8 weeks to 17 months, teaching the puppies their first 20 or so tasks to use in service of people with disabilities, and the inmates groom, exercise, and socialize the puppies inside the prison. Puppy prison. Prison puppies. Has a good ring to it. She hasn't applied to the program, but if she were to, the puppy program wouldn't accept her. We do not allow anyone who has committed crimes against animals or minors. That's because they're vulnerable populations. Paige Mazzoni, Canine Companion CEO, told CNN. The goal is to give the puppies love and enough confidence to continue to learn tasks. 2 other high-profile inmates at FPC Bryan, Elizabeth Holmes, the former CEO of Theranos, and Jennifer Shaw of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, aren't part of the puppy program either, she said. Okay, so there is that little story. There was a fucking protest. Hold on. Here it is. Found it. Concerned Bryan community members protest Ghislaine Maxwell's prison transfer. This is from KBTX in Tejas. August 17th. So a little bit later. Over 20 protesters gathered at 101 Texas Avenue earlier to protest the recent transfer of Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice and longtime partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, to the federal prison camp Bryan a few weeks ago. It's communicating to folks driving by that, hey, there's people concerned about something. Whether or not they're necessarily on the same page, it doesn't really matter. I think it's important to show that active participation in our democracy, even if it's in this little way, said Brazos Valley Community Coalition founder Serena Whitting about the protest. Maxwell was moved to the minimum security prison at the beginning of August. She is serving a 20-year sentence. And they say, we're advocating full transparency between the government and its citizens, especially when things that shift around and happen on a national level directly affect our community. A local resident and Texas 10th Congressional District candidate, Don Marshall, has major concerns about Maxwell being in town. I don't think this is the safest place for her to be necessarily when it's not a prison that has a lot of security, she explained. Marshall said other community members feel similarly. The sentiment is they don't want her here. They think that she is dangerous to the community, to the people that live there. They also are just scratching their heads saying, what in God's green earth is going on here? Was she given, was this a bribe? Is this for her safety? That was not correct, but whatever. Getting out and protesting is a way both Marshall and Whitting say they can use their voices and bring people to the table to have hard conversations. We want people to actually stop and get out of their cars and interact with us, have conversations and get to know people offline and out of the news comments section. There's just way too much negative back and forth. Well, yeah. Well, yes. Of course. I'm going to put that over there. Now I'm going to do like a very quick, now that we've gotten her out of the way, I'm going to get to another big story that happened this month, or part of it. I'll do an update on the Lively v. Wayfarer parties case over here. So lots happened this month. There's a whole lot on the docket. But the main thing I want to focus on is the attack on journalists. So I did tell you that she was going, Blake Lively was targeting a bunch of journalists in her subpoenas. And recently she has subpoenaed Perez Hilton, also known legally as Mario Lavandera Jr. And there's a whole lot on his docket too in Nevada. And there was a good thing that happened recently, thankfully, where he went to court on the 28th, and it ended up going well for him, and the judge from Lively's case finally decided to do something good and kept it in Nevada, basically. Yep, here he says, the court accordingly holds that it lacks personal jurisdiction over Lavandera with respect to the subpoena. Lively's motion to compel was thus denied without prejudice. I hate that without prejudice, but it is what it is. For lack of personal jurisdiction, so ordered. So now we have some forward motion in this case in Nevada, the District of Nevada, in the 7th Circuit, I believe. No, 9th Circuit? I'm sorry. But anyway, he is going to be in court again on the 2nd. He's got to bring some paperwork in and have an in-camera review with the judge, Boulware, there. And we'll see how that goes. So that is yet to happen. And in other related news, Miss Priss, or Lively, got a job. Look at that. Allegedly. Probably not, though. But she's allegedly, according to Deadline, her favorite fucking source, she has been tapped to star in a rom-com, an action rom-com, based on a dude's spec script. So she really is all about the girls. So anyway, this is the major PR thing that happened on August 21st, ahead of that hearing and everything. So ironically, the script is called The Survival List. It's Lionsgate, and look who is in talks. Mark Platt. Well, isn't that a coinkydink? Because look what happened earlier on in the year. What? No way. Yep. Ariana Grande thanks Ryan Reynolds for generous words at National Board of Review Gala. Meant so much. There he is, hanging out with Ariana Grande and her man. Birds of a feather, as they say. And it says, Reynolds presented Wicked producer Mark Platt with the Knight's Prize. What year is this? What year? What date was this? January 8th, 2025. This would have been after the CRD complaint, after the NYT article. And again, if you're not following any of this, like, I will give you background somewhere in the show notes, and you can have your field day reading all about this case if you're not up to date. Anyway, so he presented Mark Platt with the Knight's Prize for Best Film of 2024 during the Tuesday, January 7th gala, which Grande attended along with co-stars Cynthia Erivo, Michelle Yeoh, and Ethan Slater, as well as the director John M. Chu. And she says, "You really moved me," at Van City Reynolds. Clearly, LOL. "Thank you for the kindest and most generous words last night. I'm so serious. They meant so much, and I appreciate you." I guess she was out of the loop. She didn't know what had happened before this. Although this would have been technically before everybody started to really get information to go against Blake Lively's view of things on the set of It Ends With Us. But anyway, then we even have a picture with the wife. Not with Mark, but with the cast. And that was in December. So they know the Wicked cast. And then we have this Getty image that shows Ryan and Mark Platt on January 7th. And so just saying, like, all of this happened. I just realized this was in the wrong place, so I'm going to move this over. I don't know where to put it. I'm going to put it there. Anyway, Mark Platt, Ryan Reynolds have a connection there. And so I wonder if that led to Mark making it look like he was entertaining the idea of working with Blake Lively on the film. Okay, here we go. Recently caught up in a legal battle with Justin Baldoni surrounding their hit Sony film. It ends with us. Lively has just been seen starring in Another Simple Favor from Lionsgate, so no worries. I mean, we know how they got involved. And then they mention the sequel. Malia is a British writer best known for Rye Lane. I wish he'd come up with better names, because the dude who's supposed to be opposite her is named Chopper fucking Lane. Like, what the hell? And you know what? I already know. If this were ever to happen, that they would try to get Glenn Powell. I just know. I don't even have to wonder. But I just know they would try to get him. I don't know if it would happen. But anyway. In other news, I guess, on the side here it says like SNL is dropping some cast members. So the news on that is just 3 have been mentioned. No, 3? 4? 3, 4? I'll just name them. Michael Longfellow, whom I had on my prediction list coming back for season 51, but he is not. And then the other one was Devin Walker, which was not surprising for me after 3 seasons. And then there was Ekim Wakim. Is that his name? Or am I just saying it wrong? You're probably saying it wrong. Let me see what it says. We'll look at it together. Okay. Emil Wakim. I'm sorry. Emil Wakim. And then also Heidi Gardner after many years. 8 years. So it's a long, long time. This isn't specifically about them, but just trust me, those are the people. Oh, look at the bottom here. I saw this. Oh, it's gone now. I saw something and I wanted to look at it, but then it disappeared. Oh well. Anyway, it looks like the axe is being brought down on a lot of the cast. The thing is about it is that I can't believe that Jane Wickline is still there. Oh yeah, it was Kim Novak. Okay. How is that breaking news? That's not much of a news, but anyway. So we have that, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about, another showgirl, was this bitch. And she not only announced her album, showed it to everybody on this live stream, which I'm not showing the live stream, but I was there. I can prove that. Hold on, let me see if I can find the live stream, and I'll show you. I was there not promoting my show.
I don't know. I'll always remember that. I was just...
Y'all didn't hear that. I don't think the live stream is in here. There's no live area. Maybe there is, and I just didn't see it. Let me see. Ah, there it is. Found it.
All right. Let's...
Shut up. Okay. I come in at some point. That's what she said. Let me see where I come in. Hurry up. Come on, I know people are in there. Alright, let me see where I come up. I come up later. Good luck finding yourself, dummy. I don't remember where I am. I'm in here somewhere, I promise. I'm saying all kinds of stupid shit. I'm trolling the comment section. Sorry, the chat. I'm saying about Blake Lively. Will we ever know if she extorted Taylor Swift? Or tried to extort Taylor Swift? We probably won't. I'm talking about... What's she talking about at this point? I love the Free Palestine people. Y'all are talking to the wrong people. They do not give a fuck about Palestine. They are doing the distraction. They are at work. Leave them alone. They're not going to do politics right now. They're pretending to be in love. Damn it, guys. Sorry. No, it's clearly like so much chemistry, right? Like, it's insane. That's what I say in the comments at one point, or the chat. That they just can't keep their hands off each other. I don't say that. I'm just like, this chemistry is too much. No, it's just like a footballer, like, that's the showmance. But people fell for it. Good for them, you know? Get your coin, I guess. I swear I cannot find my chat stuff. I swear I'm there somewhere. Maybe I didn't start talking until later. I'm definitely at the end. Alright, I'm gonna skip to the end. It could be like it's on top chat replay, so it might not have all the live chat stuff. Shit, where'd everything go? Well, we gotta get to the big moment anyways. They take forever to get there. But it's at this point. Hold on. Ah! I didn't want you to hear this because it's so inane. It's so annoying. She looks pretty. I kept saying like, oh, I like her hair. She looks very pretty. And I don't blame her at all. Well, as an adult, I blame her. But when she was a child, that's when her career took off. And she had no control over that, really. So I've always been of the mind that if they're minors, I can let it slide if they join the Illuminati eventually. Oh, there I am. Good cult classic. What was I talking about? I don't know, but let's find out. Oh, good cult leader. What am I talking about? Good cult leader. Let me see what I'm talking about, actually. Hold on. Fuck. Hold on. Let's get to the part of this show that I think is what everybody is going to be talking about. This still has like 22 million views. Crazy. When I was there, it was like over 1 million. I guess I'm referring to Taylor there. Good cult leader. She is a cult leader. And also, it's when people say fans. I really don't like the word fans. And if you call your people that listen to your music and enjoy you and support you fans, I think less of you. Sorry. See, I'm so nice. Seriously, her hair color is great. I'm so sweet. By the way, I'd never heard of this podcast until this moment in time. Much like most of the audience. Shout out to the people who love my show and love what I do. I love you. You're not any worse than I am, and I'm not any better than you are. And I'm not any worse than you are, and you're not any worse than I am. Whatever. Anyway, said, don't clip Taylor. You'll never see this. Don't clip Taylor? I have no idea what I meant there. But I'm just referring to, like, she's never going to see any of these comments. Never, ever. Let's see what else I say. I'm so brilliant. I was going off. I was saying so many things and nobody gave a shit. And that's what it's like in these famous Illuminati adjacent people's comment sections / chats. They don't give a fuck. They will never see what you're saying. They have so much preamble to this. It's an hour and a half into the thing, and they finally mention the album cover, which was not even that special. Because it was like kind of annoying because she took pictures of her in headdress and stuff like she was doing a show. And that would have made more sense as the album cover than what she went with. Oh, there I say. You know she cares because she refers to her audience as fans. Well, who doesn't like to be liked? I get it, but still, damn. All the orange hearts, like, so many bots. See, like, what is this? Okay, people talking shit about Sabrina's cover. Sabrina Carpenter. What is that? Why does she look like she's, like, underwater and stuff? I'm sure it makes sense with the album. We'll all be like, yay, good job, but... Okay. I just don't see why one is controversial and this one's whatever. Also, that font, the placement of the words, I've done better in my thumbnails than that. And I've had trouble. I probably didn't do as well in this thumbnail. I definitely didn't. But I tried. I used the orange for my thumbnail. I tried my best. I'm going to call it a mimic. I'm mimicking her. That's why it looks so bad. I mimicked it. Leave me alone. Oh my gosh. It must be nice to be able to go to like on tour and go to Sweden and shit. I flew to Sweden in my private jet. Even though I tell people, oh, climate change, climate change. I'll change the climate all I want. Thank you, bitch. I'm a star. I just think this is such a, not narcissistic, but like very selfish. Like, wouldn't that have made a better cover? I'm just saying. I put it on my thumbnail. Is also... And back in the day, you probably didn't even have to put in the title on the fucking record. By the way, vinyls are back. Like, they've been back for so long. Like, CDs, where are you? Come back. We need a comeback from the CDs. Who's with me? F's in the chat for CDs. Anyway. I don't have a chat. I'm just kidding. You can put it in the comment section. F's for CDs. I'll know you watched this all the way through. Allegedly. Or you're a bot. Shout out to the bots in the comment section. I totally know that you're there. You're easy to find. I don't have a lot of comments. Even on the one with 580 something fucking views. Which this will totally match. Anyway, I'm just shooting the shit right now. Trying to see if my comment comes up again. I forgot what comment I had later. Alright, once we get to my comment, I'm gonna move on. Oh, something funny happens at the end of this video, though, I'll tell you. Hold on. Hold on. It's like after everything happens, I'll even put it on here. Fuck it.
Well, they were my main collaborators on.
Alrighty. Do you have any questions for us? We're kind of out of...
Been champion. Let's.
I don't think they're gonna show what happened.
Like what?
Mama knows
Presumptuous.
best. Mama knows best. She knew I wanted
and
to.
so she was like,
they must have added
trust me,
something.
He wants you there, and I was like, okay, well she.
Anyway, something happened. See, it says it just cut off in the middle. Something happened, and it just ended out of nowhere. It went blank, and then it ended. It was the funniest part of the whole thing, and I was like, that was hilarious. But of course they fixed it. They stitched it together, because this isn't the live. So yeah, that happened. Oh, and you know, they got engaged, and they're super in love. And this is, like I said, this episode is going to be so relevant in a year. I believe in love, guys. I believe in love. And they have it in spades. Look how beautiful they are. Look how he loves her so much he lets her talk all the time, like a good man should, and pretends to care what she's talking about. But I think some of that's the CTE, honestly. Anyway, yeah, they love each other with all their hearts and it's beautiful. But what's not beautiful, let's go to the next thing. The U.S. debt clock, we're going to do a check-in because it's been a while. 37.3 trillion. So, doing great. Thanks, Doge. Great job. In other news that's sort of related, the IDF is doing IDF shit. This Gaza situation is getting very out of hand as usual. And I saw this in the Times of Israel when I was looking for an update, so let's go over it. IDF report said to find Israel made every possible mistake in recent Gaza offensive. This is from today, 1 a.m. Leaked document on September 1st, because we're in the future, because this is Israel. Leaked document says bungled aid distribution helped Hamas mount PR campaign during Operation Gideon's Chariots from May to August. IDF feared unprepared for Gaza City takeover. Oh, that's funny they mentioned Gideon, because let's just look at that real quick. Look that up. That might be relevant. Let's see. Well, damn. Hold up. I don't know what to look it up. Look it up as Gideon app. Try that. Nope, that didn't work. Government. Okay, this might not work the way I wanted it to. Fuck. Well, anyway. I need to see. Hold on, let me see. Shooting? Let's try this. I know this exists. Damn it. Okay, I give up then. Never mind. But Gideon is the news in a different way. Moving on. A classified IDF document circulated within the military has concluded that Operation Gideon's Chariots, the Army's name for the major offensive that was launched against Hamas in May and ended last month, failed to meet its core objectives, a report said Sunday. The document, partially published by Channel 12 News, plainly asserts that the operation did not succeed in either of its goals to topple Hamas, what do you know, or free the hostages, because they don't care. It was distributed last week by the Operational Information Center of the IDF's ground forces and has already been seen by several brigades, according to the network. Officers who reviewed the document reportedly expressed worry that the document augurs badly for the IDF's planned push into Gaza City in October. Well, yay, just in time for my birthday. And doubted whether the army had drawn the necessary lessons ahead of the planned offensive. While IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir and other senior officers have publicly praised the Gideon's Chariots operation, the internal assessment bluntly states that Israel made every possible mistake in waging the campaign, according to the report. It accuses the army of acting contrary to its own military doctrine by supplying the enemy with resources through humanitarian aid, failing to impose time pressure, mismanaging resources, and ultimately exhausting its own forces while eroding international support. According to the document, Hamas, meanwhile, enjoys all the conditions necessary to survive and claims success, including resources, secure territory, and a suitable method of fighting. But how's Gaza doing in all that? You know, Palestine, where, you know, they love Hamas, right? Okay. It cites Israel's reliance on a deterrence logic rather than decisive victory by seeking to continue fighting with the aim of an eventual ceasefire and hostage release deal with Hamas, something that the terror group managed to exploit during these past few months. The document further criticizes incompetence in planning and distributing aid, which is said enabled the terror group to successfully mount a global campaign accusing Israel of intentionally starving Gaza's population. According to the report, IDF has maneuvered repeatedly in the same areas at a slow pace and prioritized avoiding casualties over mission success. It also cites, clearly it's bullshit, attrition, manpower strain, equipment fatigue, and poor preparation for guerrilla warfare as key reasons for failure. At the same time, the report notes that many within the military credit the operation with lowering Hamas's demands in hostage negotiations, with the added pressure reportedly increasing the number of captives the group is willing to release in a deal. Responding to the report, the IDF denied the claims set out in the document, insisting that the Army met the operation's set goals and is continuing to work to achieve the war's overarching goals. The military added that the leaked document was distributed without permission or clearance from the relevant authorities. The issue is being probed. This sounds like a psyop to me. I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like they're trying to be like, you know what, we're just incompetent. We're not doing anything wrong. We're just super incompetent. We don't know how to do our jobs, but we're not going to admit that, and we don't mean it. And we've investigated ourselves, and we're kind of sucky at this, but you know what, we're going to get better. And also, we didn't do anything wrong. I don't know, it's just a lot of circular logic and stuff. And then we got the latest news, unfortunately. The Prime Minister of Yemen's Houthi government, I said Houthi for a second, Houthi government killed in Israeli strike August 30th, 2025, yesterday, or today. So this was crazy because it's not just Hamas, it's Houthis. Like, there's all the H's and Hezbollah. Don't forget Hezbollah up in Iran. But it's all Iran, really, related. And yeah, here's this article. Israel said on Friday that the airstrike had targeted the Iran-aligned group's chief of staff, defense minister, and other senior officials, and that it was verifying the outcome. The Houthi-run news agency ran a statement from the defense minister shortly after it confirmed the prime minister's death and quoted him as saying the group was ready to confront Israel. And that's not going to cause more backlash at all. The statement did not mention Thursday's airstrike, and it was unclear if it was made before or after the attack. And then there's a little more about it. And, reminder of what happened before this. During the last year, Israel carried out a series of assassinations of top leaders and commanders of Hamas. And again, if the U.S. was doing this shit, it would be all over the media, and they'd be like, what? That is not normal. And its Lebanese ally, Hezbollah. Sorry, I got Hezbollah mixed up with Houthi. Not Houthi. Houthi is the, Houthi is Iran. Hezbollah is Lebanese. My bad. And don't worry, Israel is bombing all of those countries that significantly weaken the groups. We remain steadfast in our genuine position of supporting and standing with the people of Gaza and in building and developing the capabilities of our armed forces to confront all challenges and dangers, said Mahdi al-Mashat, who is mentioned before, if you missed it. Okay. Then we come to this fucking news, because it continues. Because once something happens, something else has to happen. That's cause and effect. And here we go. UN urges release of 11 workers detained by Houthis in Yemen raids. Got Yemen raids again. 31st of August, literally the next day. AFP brings it. The United Nations said Yemen's Houthis detained at least 11 workers today in raids on UN premises after rebel authorities made numerous arrests and following Israel's killing of the Prime Minister The Houthi authorities have not yet commented on the reported raids, but the group has previously arrested international aid workers. UN Security General Antonio Guterres in China at the weekend for a meeting with China's Xi Jinping called for the workers' immediate and unconditional release. Well, that's it. They're going to do it now. They confirmed that 11 UN personnel, had been subjected to arbitrary detentions by the Houthi de facto authorities. UN envoy to Yemen, Hans Grundberg, said the detentions carried out in Sana'a and Hodeida came after the forced entry into UN premises and seizure of UN property. The Houthis were already detaining 23 UN personnel, some since 2021 and 2023, he added. In January, the Houthi rebels detained 8 UN workers, so they have an MO of this. The Houthis claimed arrests made in June 2024 included an American-Israeli spy network operating under the cover of humanitarian organizations, allegations emphatically rejected by the UN, who never tells a lie. Earlier today, the World Food Program said one of its staff had been detained in the rebel-held capital Sana'a. It said it was urgently seeking additional information from the Houthi authorities who seized Sana'a in 2014 and now control large parts of Yemen. So then there's a little more information here. So just, same old same. You do this, I do that, back and forth. Nothing ever ends. The Iran-backed group today vowed to intensify its attacks on Israel after the killing of Rahawi, the most senior Houthi official known to have died in a series of Israeli attacks during the Gaza war. Unless they don't call it the Hamas war, because they know that Hamas is not the fucking enemy. Meanwhile, a video posted online by a Yemeni comedian several hours after the announcement of Rahawi's death has sparked uproar. The comedian Mohammed Al-Adre, who presents himself as an advisor to Yemen's internationally recognized government that the Houthis oppose, filmed himself dancing to festive music in traditional clothes. Writer Khalid Al-Rawaishan responded on Facebook, "It is an absolute shame to celebrate the death of any Yemeni killed by Israeli missiles." So yeah, there we go. And that's the news. Wish it was better, but here we are. Stay tuned for new episodes, and I will post some new old episodes soon. We'll go into the 30s. We're getting into the COVID era, which is fun, because I did do the pandemic episodes, the compilation. You can go here. That's part 3. Got a lot of views on it, but yeah. 1, 2, and 3. We didn't get a 4 because we didn't get enough views. I'm not going to waste my time. But, yeah. You can look there. We went a little bit over, but it is what it is. I hope you guys have a great holiday. Don't work too hard if you are working. And rest when you can. And know that none of this will ultimately matter, because we'll all be dead. And we'll be dust in the wind. I, on purpose, saying that wrong. Because of copyright. Not because I'm losing my voice. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for listening and watching. And join me next time for a new episode of the Super Awkward Funcast for September. I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun things to talk about then.